Good evening, everyone, and welcome. If you've ever wondered whether you should apply to the ISB PGP or the ISB PGP YL, you are in the right place today. So, let's say you have just graduated and you have up to 2 years of work experience and are planning to apply to an ISB MBA. So, you will have the option to either the ISB PGP YL or you can wait for a few years and then apply to ISB. How should you plan your career? I'm Shruti and I navigate the complexities of MBA applications. We are addressing one of the most yet good decisions in the ISB application process. Choose ISB PGP, ISB PGP years. Why does this matter so much? Many brilliant candidates base their decision on superficial years of experience. They do not understand the deeper strategic implications or even have any idea of whether there are certifications involved. So the result is on the opportunity of pursuing an ISB MBA might just suboptimal. So here's what makes today's still you're getting insights direct. I'm thrilled to introduce Mr. Amit Tyagi, Associate Director ISP, who has joined us today for a Q&A to help us navigate this decision. Amit is the program head for admissions for the ISB PGP in management and PGP for young leaders at the Indian School of Business. He has over 19 years of experience across sales, marketing, and admissions in the education sector in India. In his earlier stints, he has led international recruitment for universities across the African and South Asian geographies. Amit has also worked with accreditation agencies, developed business plans, and go to market strategies for Greenfield University. He has led sales teams for an e learning startup in the K 12 sector across geographies. And Amit has completed his MBA from the Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta. He is an electrical engineer from NIT Kurukshetra. So, Amit, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we look forward to hearing your insights on making these decisions.
Thank you, Shruti, for this opportunity. Always look forward to interact with candidates and resolve their doubts, and look forward to the session as well.
Great. Over the next 40 minutes, we'll try and bring up questions which we also face a lot of times from candidates, and we would like to hear your insights directly so that they can make the right decisions. So let's start with the foundational questions. So the first
Sure.
is, what was the strategic decision or the thinking behind creating two distinct programs at ISB? Why is there an ISB PGP YL and PGP?
Sure. So there's a clear distinction in terms of target audience for both the programs. I'll go beyond that as well. But for now, let me just talk about the target audience. PGP is for people with at least 2 years of work experience. The average work ex in the class is around 4 years and 2 months currently. And your work ex should be more than 2 years as on 31st of March in the year that you intend to join the program. PGP while is for people who have less than 2 years of work experience as on class start date. Classes for while start in July. So you should have no more than 2 years of work experience as on 15th of June for the year in which you intend to join the program. Now, average work ex in the PGP while is less than a year for the last cohort. Now, why we came up with the program PGP while for people, although we already had an MBA program for people with experience. Now there are a lot of people who we interacted with over the course of the years. We are also running a YLP program for people who wanted to, look at PGP from the campuses. And when we interacted with a lot of these people, we found that a lot of them wanted to join the program right after undergrad. They say that we are clear about what career we want to be in. We want to be in the business side of things. We want to build a career in management, business management, or finance, or consulting, and so on and so forth. So why should we wait for 2 years to join the program? Essentially, also made us realize that there are a lot of people who, in terms of their objectives after the graduation, or at the time of the graduation, with less years of work experience. Now, if you look at the two programs, PGP is for people who have few years in the industry, understand their understand their career aspiration and interest by virtue of and experimenting in their careers till that point in time, and now have decided to pivot their careers into certain functions or in the program for them. But there are also people who are very clear at the time of their graduation, less years of work experience, that this is the place where they would like to make their career in, maybe in and we don't want them to wait for 2 years a career journey. So PGP is for people who want to transition their career after understanding, after working in industry for a few years and understanding their aspirations. While PGP YL is a program which accelerates your career for people who are very clear on terms in terms of their career goals, in terms of their aspirations and motivations. And this theme will come to again and again, maybe in the course of this discussion across various questions.
Yes, and this really, differentiates the target candidate for PGP YL versus ISB PGP. But I mean, there's also another question over here. We always, the MBA programs will always evaluate the leadership readiness of the applicants. So, how does the leadership readiness differ for somebody who has no work experience? ISB PGP YL is for those applicants,
Yeah.
and then vis-a-vis the ISB PGP.
Yeah. So, in terms of leadership readiness, I would say we look at leadership potential in your applications for PGP. While for PGP, of course, we have a lot of avenues to look at your leadership potential, leadership opportunities that you've got, maybe by virtue of working in your organizations, taking responsibilities in your work, and so on and so forth. For PGP, while we're looking at evidence of leadership potential through various activities that you might have undergone, through initiatives in your personal life, and and that's why we look at the essays very closely. Of course we do it in PGP also, but here the essence of the essays is slightly different from the PGP application process. And so is the treatment in terms of the interviews, where we have a lot of behavioral questions asked for PGP while vis-a-vis aspirational or in terms of the need questions asked in PGP program. So here we are looking at your initiatives, your personal qualities, and your credentials at your at your undergrad courses. Beyond leadership potential, we also look at your problem solving skill sets, your critical thinking skill sets. We look at your collaborative skill sets. If you worked in teams, if you worked in projects where you're required to align with other people, if you've solved problems either in your work or in your undergrad, into the projects and so on and so forth, all those play a critical role in the PGP program.
Right. And are there different GMAT or academic expectations for both the programs?
So for PGP, while since people come with less years of work experience, and a lot of people in that target audience write the CAT examination, we accept CAT as well along with GMAT and GRE. So if you are in undergrad in the final year, if you've written CAT, you're going to write CAT this year, you're eligible to apply for PGP. GMAT and GRE are part of the evaluation for ISB for the programs, and continues for PGP as well. In terms of evaluation, I'll say the scores look at, they're similar to PGP, maybe 10 points higher. So because of the batch sizes, if anything else, but the ranges are a lot more tighter. For PGP, if you look at the range, it starts from 555 all the way to 765, and the median is around 675. That's because people come with a lot of other skill sets as by virtue of their work experience. So GMAT doesn't play that big a role for some of them, because they have a lot of other things to showcase. For about people who come with less years of work experience, the range starts from 625 all the way to 765, and the median remains the same. 675 is the median and the average. So the ranges will be tighter, but more or less the medians will remain the same for the programs.
And in terms of the GPA, is there an academic benchmark that they should consider when putting up their applications?
Yes, cats will play an important role, because they'll tell us a lot about your a strong part about your the rigor that you've been part of. So in terms of academic profile, we look at your 12 scores, we look at your undergrad CGPAs, we look at your schools, universities, degrees, and all those things, and all that will become your academic profile. So here also you have a chance to balance internally. So if you're from a good college, but you got maybe an average GPA, you still be able to get a slightly better academic scores. Um, and similarly, CADs alone are not an important criteria. You can always counterbalance your CADs with your essays, with your interview performance, and also with your CAT or GMAT scores, or GRE scores for that matter.
Right. So, Amit, a lot is known about, the PGP experience and how the classroom is structured. Everything, is there's so many alumni who are talking about things, so we know a lot about it. But what will the ISB PGP YL classroom experience be like, apart from the fact that it is 2 years in duration and the other is 1 year in duration?
Yeah. So the PGP while program is 2 years in duration, primarily because people come with no to less years of work experience. And the first year we build a foundation for the elective courses. In the second year, we have a lot of projects. We have labs. Lab is a research project, hands-on project with students do to get more hands-on learning as part of the first year curriculum. All the courses are more spaced out along with a lot of experiential elements in those courses, adding a layer of tech data analytics, a lot of project work the students will have to do. The idea here is that uh, we compensate for their lack of a structured learning in an organization with courses which have a lot of hands-on elements in the first year. Then we have an internship in the second year, which also serves a dual purpose. First is gives you exposure to projects as they happen in the industry life, and second is also they serve as an element of recruitment for a lot of firms to recruit by that mode. So a lot of organizations want people to have serve as internships for a couple of months before they look at them full time. So this internship also serves that purpose. And the second year is your electives, wherein you build your specializations. We have 6 specializations on offer for PGP while strategy, entrepreneurship, marketing, finance, operations, and IT. So you can take courses where you can specialize in any two of them in the second year. Now, in terms of peer-to-peer learning, how it differs, there's a very important element which I want to bring to note for everyone. In PGP, it's a 1 year program, so you have your learnings with your immediate peers, and also you interact with alums, on and off remotely, or for workshops which we organize for current students for resume for in the orientation week for 2 weeks, or as part of the alumni reunion programs. But here in PGPYL, it's a 2 year program, and there'll be a lot of elements which you'll be learning not just from your batch but also the batch senior. So a lot of knowledge transfer is going to happen between the two batches. Plus, the students are also in the same campus as PGP students, and a lot of intermingling of the two cohorts is expected. First year, you may not have courses common with them, but in second year, you can also expect to sit in the same class as other people for a few of the electives, which will be common across both the cohorts. So, in that sense, a very rich peer-to-peer learning, a lot of opportunities for students to learn not just from their own peers, but also senior batches and the PGP cohort on the campus.
So they have 2 years of full throttle experience across two PGP cohorts in that case, I think.
Exactly.
That will be some experience for sure. And Amit, there's another, very frequent question. So, do recruiters view the ISB PGP and the ISB PGP while graduates differently? Of course, that process has still to happen. But then, what are the expectations during the campus placements?
Sure. So when we interact with recruiters, a lot of them say for them 0 to 3 years is as good as a fresher, because 0 to 3 years is where you learn. But for PGP cohort, you have average work ex of 4 years in the classroom. There are people with slightly below four, the people with starting from 2 to all the way to 8 9 years of work experience. So there'll always be a slight a difference. In fact, there'll be a difference in terms of how recruiters view PGP versus a PGP while. For PGP, recruiters come with a wide variety of roles. They come to hire entry level roles. They come to hire people for mid level, mid management roles, and also senior level roles. We have people been hired at VP roles also from the PGP. For PGP, while it's for people who will be going mostly into entry level plus or plus one roles. You'll be starting your career maybe in the areas of marketing, where you will learn, let's say at an HUL or a PNG, right from the scratch what marketing is all about. We're working with maybe banks on in terms of starting your career at those banks. consulting firms and so on and so forth. In terms of what we have seen till now, all recruiters, our traditional recruiters are looking at PGPYL for their summers, and also the new recruiters added for the PGPYL by virtue of having the internships. So we'll be having the summers placement for the current batch happening in the first week of October. And by that, I'll be able to also talk a lot about the kind of organizations which are coming to hire. But for now, what I can say is all our traditional recruiters are looking at our PGP Vial batch very positively for their internships, and we are at par with the top B schools in India or even beyond for the internship stipends that we're looking at for our batch this year.
And Amit, while someone might be eligible for applying to ISB PGP YL and he has the choice of, applying, let's say, after 2 years to the ISB PGP program, what are some, what are some criteria to or red flags that indicate to the candidate that, okay, you are applying to the wrong program. You need to wait.
So, how I'll put it is there is no right or wrong program. It's more about the timing that you're looking at.
Hmm.
If you have already decided that I want to go into consulting, or maybe my end goal is finance, or my end goal is marketing, you will need to do an MBA, whether now or after 5 years, 3 or 4 years down the line. And if you've already decided that goal, I think it makes sense to apply now rather than wait for some time, because those 2 or 3 years, it's a trade-off between what you learn about the field and what you growth you'll have immediately after the placements that you get from ISB in that particular area. So maybe you're working currently in a tech firm and your end goal is marketing. You work for 2 3 years. Those 2 3 years, will they add to your marketing goal? It's a question that you need to look at. Or you're better off doing an MBA for 2 years and then come to join a marketing organization. So there's no right or wrong answer to it. But yes, if you take 3 4 years of work experience, then we will expect a lot of clarity from you in terms of your goals and how the MBA or how PGP at ISB connects to that particular end goal. Here at this stage at PGP while we still look at your goals, we look at your aspirations, but there you already have got certain skill sets in those 3 4 years. Those skill sets have to be translated into your end goals or short term goals, because once you work for 3 4 years, you can't wish away those skill sets. They will be transferable to certain areas and industries. So do they add to your goals or do they not? That's a question you need to ask now.
So a lot more clarity is expected if you are considering either of the programs. If you're clear now, apply to the PGPYL. And I think a lot of input also comes from the internships that you're doing. How many internships, what type
Correct.
of experiences you're coming with as a fresh graduate. So then that will add
Correct.
to the clarity.
Correct. Exactly. The internship, in that sense, will add to clarity per se. Although there is no mandatory requirement for people to do internships to be eligible for YL, but that gives you clarity in terms of experimentation. You work done an internship maybe in a particular industry or an organization. You get some idea about whether you're cut out for that role or in future or not.
So the students who have that experiential exposure, probably they should look at the ISB PGP YL, or otherwise, if you're waiting to still get that clarity, then ISB PGP is a more recommended path for you. But then for someone who's unsure between the two, let's say I do feel that, okay, I have slight clarity now, what extent
Mhm.
is again to be defined. So not very sure of that. So what would be a self-assessment process that you would recommend, that, okay, these are the 5 questions or 6 questions that you should ask yourself and decide, okay, I'm ready for an MBA now.
So again, it's when I say 5 6 questions, it's more about clarity in terms of your end goal and the skill sets that you possess. So if you're somebody who's at the cusp of around 2 years, let's say 1 year 6 months, or less than 2 years in the next few till March June 15th, what you should expect to do is in terms of your end career goals. Are you very clear where you want to be? Is consulting for you or not? A lot of people actually have that dream, or I would say not even goal, a dream of working in a consulting organization because they see it as a ticket to success in life. But look at it in terms of tangible questions. Am I cut out for consulting? Do I know what consulting is all about? Do I know the lifestyle of a consultant? What are the challenges or skills as a consultant needs to possess, what are the challenges the consultant needs to solve, and what's the path like after that. So consulting is not the end for a lot of people, right? A lot of people work for 3 4 years and then transition to a lot of other industries. If you look at the path to a partner, out of a lot of people who start as senior consultants, very few make it to the partner level. So what about the others? Where are the options? Whether after consulting you will want to go for entrepreneurship, whether that cuts you out for it, and so on and so forth. So that's the questions you have to ask. Essentially boils down to two things: what are my short-term goals, and what are my long-term goals, and how will this program help me get there?
Finally, it comes to clarity. If you are clear of why and what you want to do, I go ahead and apply. And
Exactly, and
Amit,
that will
we
also, well, something which will test in the interviews. That's also important for from the evaluation point of view in the process.
absolutely. And there are some questions which we are getting on the chat as well. I'll share those for your insights. So, this is, does the school differentiate between a student applying through the CAT and a student applying through the GMAT?
No, we don't differentiate between both of them. We look at both of them in relation to the pool that has applied, and if you look at any other skill sets, CAT, GMAT, or GRE have only that much weightage. Our process is a lot more holistic. So if you look at the ranges, last year's CAT median score was 99.1 in the cohort, highest was 99.95, and the least was 96.17. Right. So look at it from a lens of what else you bring to the table. If you have a lot of other elements in your profile which are strong, even a lower GMAT or GRE or CAT score can do. By low, I means look at this range. It need not be very low.
So, if you have other things to, stand by your application, then of course you can look at it. So, this is like a borderline case. If I have around 23 or 24 months of experience next year, which program should I apply?
I would still suggest the candidates who are at the borderline to look at PGP YL program, because you'll still be more than the less than the average work X in the PGP cohort. So I'll advise you all to apply for PGP YL.
Right. And is there a specific industry or a function that is preferred, let's say, as a career choice or as a background for the PGP YL or the
No.
PGP?
From the selection point of view, evaluation point of view, we look at clarity in terms of the goals and how we'll reach that goals. For example, somebody says he has 8 years of work experience and he wants to work, let's say after ISB in PNG, then that's clarity is not right, because you also should also be aware that PNG or HUL don't take people who have 8 9 years of work experience. They don't take lateral hires in through MBA colleges. They're looking at essentially freshers. And when I say freshers, that's 0 to 4 years of work experience at the max. And you start off at entry level roles where you build your knowledge, and then move on to higher roles in those organizations. So that's something we are looking at in terms of goals.
Right. And so there are a lot of questions about the process for applying to ISB PGP while. Would you like to take it up as a whole in terms of the
Yeah,
eligibility and
yeah.
whether?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, in terms of the process, as I last question answer, there's no industry requirement. There's no industry background. We don't look. We're agnostic of that. You can apply as long as you have clarity in terms of your goals, which you can achieve through the two program, and it includes your research. Now, how do you apply? What is the process for PGP? There are 3 rounds of application. The first round deadline is on this Sunday, 14th of September, and you need to have at least 2 years of work experience on the 31st of March 2026 to join the program. And you need a GMAT or a GRE score to apply, which is a test center based score. So we look at your ACADS, your work experience, your test score, the essays and LOR, which are captured in the application, and they become a profile score, basis which will shortlist you for interview, and that will in the interview you'll get an interview score. Both are added together to get your overall score. That determines the chances of getting an offer at PGP. For PGP, while again there are 2 rounds of application. First round is December 14th this year. For people who want to apply through CAT, you can apply right away. You just need to enter your CAT registration number and the email ID through which you registered for CAT, and we'll get the CAT score directly from the CAT body. For people who want to apply through GMAT and GRE, you need to have your scores in hand to apply through GMAT and GRE. Round one deadline is on 14th. The interviews will happen somewhere in the month of February after your CAT scores come in, and your results will come out by March first week. The deadline for round two for PGP YL is 20th of February, and your interviews will happen sometime in the mid March to April, and results come out by end of April to May first week. So that those are the deadlines for PGP YL. Similar process here, except for in PGP YL, we don't consider your work experience for the purpose of evaluation. Although it may give you certain skill sets which you can use in the process, but there's no points for work experience in the PGP YL application process.
Okay. And Amit, one piece of advice for candidates who are torn between both the programs.
So my advice is very simple. If you're already thinking of doing an MBA, if you have come to this stage where you're questioning whether I should do this or that, I will say do what you have right now. Right? The more you delay, it's a matter of opportunity cost. It's also a matter of delaying your dreams. So there's no difference in terms of the experience. I'll say there's slight differences from basis your work experience, but from the over larger experience that you get from the ISB experience, both are similar, and also the opportunities that you'll get in the program. So look at it from that perspective, and I'll say if you've already decided, if you're at this stage where you're asking this question, this or that, then my answer would be it should be this, because if you were not decided, you would have been busy building your skill sets right now in other areas, and then maybe you would have come to a question of now what, right? That's the time when you look at PGP, that you should feel the need for PGP in your work. Uh, uh, that's what I would suggest.
Thank you. Amit, this has been very, very valuable. And before we close, let me summarize the key takeaways, for everyone. First is that the program selection at ISB goes far beyond your years of experience or only your GMAT or your CAT scores or GRE scores. It is about, your readiness, your exposure that you're coming with, and also your understanding of your goals, what alignment you have in terms of your career trajectory. So finally, don't try to game the system by applying what you think is easier. Both of these are going to be very, very competitive. Apply to the program that genuinely fits your profile and your preparedness. And thank you so much for your time once again and Insight Summit today. This is the kind of guidance that will really help the students to make the right decisions for the class.
Pleasure, Shruti. Always a pleasure to interact with students and interact with you as well. I think we have it. We're meeting second year, third time this year, and look forward to many more events with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.